and I'm going to open it up, and I've met many of you, but I'm just going to introduce myself. My name is Rick Descanso, and I am the board chair, so I'm going to do a few introductions, then I'm going to tell you a little bit about how the process is going to work. I got to give you some remarks, and then I'm going to turn it over to the chief to talk today. Okay? So, first of all,
the board chair of what?
Oh, Fire District 5. So we are here today for several reasons. So I'm just going to spend a couple minutes. First of all, I'd like to thank the firefighters that are here today. Thanks for coming out. We do have that. We have some retired Fire District 5 firefighters here. We have the Medford firefighter. I'd like to thank, of course, the chief, Brady Graham. Raise your hand. He's the union president. Margie, where you at? She really is probably, well, I'll just tell you a little bit about when I talk about Fire District 3. That's been a huge asset. Thank you so much for what you do. It's really been great. A tiny bit just about myself. I am the board chair for Fire District 5. It is an honor for me to actually do that. It's the first time that I actually raised my hand in my 30 years of public service. I served my country in the military, and I spent 25 years as a state police officer. And then when this came up, I volunteered. So it's been a real pleasure to do this. So one of the commitments I made when I started public service is I think that people of the tax base and the citizens should always know what's going on to the best ability of your elected officials, and I made that promise to you. So that's one of the reasons why we're doing these town halls, because information is key, and information is, you should know about it. The only thing I ask you is sometimes when you ask for information and you don't like what you hear, well, that's still the information that we're going to give you. So transparency is very important to me. So is honesty and integrity. So that's why we're here today. So I know there was some questions that were given online, which we are prepared to answer some of those. And I also want to make sure that everyone has their voice. If you want to raise your hand, you can do that. And I think if you want to, write down on a piece of paper and hand it over. If you don't want to do that, we'll do that today. So before I introduce the chief, I just would like to tell everybody here, Saturday, thanks for coming in. Okay. When I was telling my wife, she said, "What are you doing today?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to go out and talk to a bunch of great folks in Fire District 5." And she kind of laughed. And because for the board members who aren't here, what I want you to keep in mind is when people step up and raise their hand to be elected officials, especially to districts like Fire District 5, these volunteer positions have, well, they should be respected. And what we've been doing for about a year and a half, it's been anywhere between 20 and probably 30 hours a week sometimes that we've had people trying to do a resolution to some of your questions. And I sometimes think we forget that sometimes when people step up to try to do these things. I'd also like to thank Brady Graham and the chief. And where's the chief's wife? Where's she at? Thank you for supporting me on Saturday. So, very nice. But I just would like you to realize that we have a lot of good board members, past board members and current board members. Raise your hand if you've ever served in an elected position before. I know. Thank you so much for doing that. So it's quite a thing. Okay, so, I didn't even notice. Mayor, raise your hand. Mayor, Bill Hopper, thanks for coming, sir.
Thank you.
So, sorry about that. So I just would like to tell you, we're working hard for you. I am going to introduce the chief in a minute. I'm going to talk a little bit about him. So a year and a half ago, when we were going through our first mess, okay, we found a true blessing came our way with Fire District 3. We looked at Ashland Fire, we looked at Medford Fire, we debated, and Mike Cussy and his team, and I think Chief Cologne is here, Richard Hackers, thank you for coming. And these folks at Fire District 3 have stepped up and done so many things for people. And I think you're going to be, well, you're going to see some of the charts, you're going to see some of the analytics. I've met with Chief a lot. They're working so hard for the people in this room and the people that can't come. We are really doing great things. Are we perfect? No. Are we working our butt off? And we really enjoy Margie and the Chief and Chief Clowen and everyone else. Who else is here for Fire District 3? Thank you so much for coming on Sunday. You set up all this stuff, so thank you so much. So I just wanted to tell you that we have a great team right now, and we're working really hard. We're meeting weekly, and we're working really hard. And today really is about addressing maybe the questions that you have. And really, the person is, I can address some of them, but let's be honest, 95% of your questions are for this chief here, because he's a professional firefighter and with Brady Grant. If you ask me anything about policing, I'll answer that question. And if it's fire related, I'm going to tell you right now, our board and your board that you voted for, pick the right team. And the right team is around you. So you're going to hear from somebody who, I've seen a lot of fire chiefs, and I've seen a lot of administrators and a lot of leaders. I'm just going to tell you right now, between Brady Grant and this chief right here, they are providing you with really good results, and I think you're going to be pleased on where we're going. So with that being said, I'm going to introduce the chief, and we're going to talk a little bit about it. And if you need a question from me, Chief, I'm sure you'll tell me that 99% of the questions this chief will be able to answer. So, Chief, Mike Hudson.
Yeah. Well, good morning. And, I share the appreciation for you guys coming out here. I'm going to try and do this without a microphone. So, if you can't hear, please let me know. I don't want to trip over the cord behind me. So, I do have the pleasure of serving as Fire District 5's Fire Chief. I'm also the Fire Chief of Fire District 3. That's to the north of Medford. We serve 59,000 population, 171 square miles, 8 stations. Comparatively, 18,000 population at Fire District 5, about 105 square miles out of 3 stations. And with my staff, we pledge the exact same attentive care and I think financial responsibility that we apply there here. Shannon is the face of our social media. She runs all the data. She is our software application. Our environment is so much more technical and data informed than it used to be. Thank you, Shannon, for getting the web page up, social media feeds, and hopefully you're finding them valuable. Margie Calvert is the executive assistant. She's the one that now has 2 boards. She has 1 fire chief and 2 boards that she gets to orchestrate and put all the practice together. And I really appreciate the extra time that she's putting in as well. Deputy Chief Clellan, he has taken on the responsibility of seeing 105 more square miles of service area as well. So we're all in it just like you are. I want to jump to the chase. This top number, 105 days, is what we staffed this station since April 1. Okay, coming in February, March, we're struggling. 19 days in January, 20 days in December, 16 days in November. We continue to increase the number of staffing, and that's for a couple reasons. A year ago, I told you we will build a budget that allows us to invest in this station, and we've done that. Since November, we received our tax revenue. We are holding true to that. The labor group has come forward, and we've signed an MOU that allows us to staff this station with 2 people. And we have a healthy workforce. We have a committed workforce that wants to be here. But when we don't have enough people on the roster, that's when this station is no longer staffed. I want to clarify, that's 105 24-hour shifts. That's not the number of days that we were out here for a partial shift. We had summer firefighters last year. When our fire danger is greatest, Oregon Department of Forestry assisted by staffing here as well. They have an equal responsibility to your community as we do. And it's a partnership. It's truly a commitment that there's one community, multiple resources, and they come in and assist in that coverage. Now, you guys had a significant lightning storm last year in July, and none of us saw it coming. We were staffed. What was, I think, really important to know, there were more lightning strikes on our landscape than we could ever prepare for. But the complete and coordinated response, the communication, everybody is going and tackling one at a time. When the incident outstrips our resources, I was up here the first night, stayed the night up there. The first 5 engines I got were out of Susanville. Right? That's how strict our region was. The next day, we brought 5 engines from Lane County and 5 engines from Yamaha County. The governor and the state fire marshal declared the Confederation Act and lent us 10 engines from other communities down to assist us. Although they weren't ours, we housed them right here, and some of you might have seen the engines parked here, and them sleeping in their sleeping bags out back, ready to go. We continue to address our finances. This is our revenue, our tax revenue. $7,200,000 is what we anticipate. That's, as we go in, we're doing some sound modeling, but there's things that come as a surprise. One of the surprises we just discovered this past month was Pacific Power has contested their assessed valuation and their rate. And what that means, they pay the tax assessment, but it goes over to another pot until it's determined in court whether or not their assessment on right-of-ways was appropriate. We don't have access to that. That was over $100,000 that we anticipated receiving. We did not receive. We have additional offsets as well. Our revenue came in just a little bit under, but we're prepared to accept that. It's these other surprises that really threaten us. A year ago, we were talking about our debt, and at that time, we were still discovering it. And there's a lot of ways to explain what we came to find, some less politically correct than others. But I'm just going to tell you, our staff and the board assumed a great big ball of Christmas lights. And anybody who's tried to pull those apart understands there's a point that you just want to throw it away and buy new. But we can't do that. And so we continue, one bulb at a time, one string at a time. And as we do that, we're surprised once again. And we found through our audit process that we may owe FEMA $1.4 million in April. This is our current debt, $8.1 million. Do you remember me talking about the tax anticipation note last year? We didn't have enough cash on hand to pay the tax anticipation note. I'm really thankful for People's Bank, a local solution to a local problem. They loaned us the necessary money. They actually loaned us a little bit more so we could buy down some high interest rates. We had interest rates nearing 9%. They loaned us the money. We used the talent station's collateral. And we have, 7 more years to buy that station back. What it allowed us to do, I'll get to you this way, okay? It allowed us to take that cash, remaining cash, and really tighten our belts, and we got to November without having to borrow any more money. And that's where we're at today. Yes, sir.
So is that leverage, new loan leverage on top of the 1.5 million that was also owed on that station?
Yes, we refinanced that station. So it did have remaining debt. We rolled that remaining debt over. Yes.
Just a clarifying question, so I know about the $8.1 million.
Yeah.
There's a potential for an additional $1.4 million.
That's correct. So going through the audit process, we've been working, our chief finance officer and finance team have been working diligently to really make us compliant with the audit. 21-22 audit was released in December. Through this audit process, the auditors started asking, tell us about this FEMA drop. And post-fire, FEMA does have disaster assistance loans. There was a draw for $333,000, $333.33. Just threes, right? Common theme, about 6 months later, there was a draw for $666,666.66. A year later, the note was for a total of $1.4 million. The remaining balance of that note was drawn. So we discovered this. We didn't budget for it. There is a forgiveness process, but we have to get our audits done. We have to become audit compliant. Our auditors, Polly Rogers up in Portland, have been diligent, and they have about 4 staff members right now working on our 22, 23, and our 23, 24 audits. Now, the audit did come back clean, meaning all of the practices were appropriate. Now, again, this isn't a forensic audit. They're not going to opine on whether or not we spent the money appropriately, or what we bought, or the budget practice necessarily. But what was determined in that, we overspent by $1.6 million in 21-22. Likely, where some of the budget went. We have FEMA's ear. There is a forgiveness clause in it. We're hoping all or some of the 1.4 million is forgiven. We're working with the electeds. They're poised, positioned to advocate for us. It's just too early. And for staff, we're hoping to get this answer before we build a budget and present it to the budget committee. Absent this, we built a budget to ensure we have 21 members, 21 career firefighters, with an additional 3 to be hired in late spring. We can't do that right now. We got to tighten the belt and make sure that we are using this period to make this as cash solvent as possible. We had a wonderful success not using a tax anticipation note. That may be necessary. I'm really hopeful it's not, because we budgeted accordingly. We put the cash aside to carry us back to November. I think you would all agree the less borrowing we had to do is going to set us up for a stronger future. Okay? We have some ongoing litigation. Since we built last year's budget, since I was here prior, we have some litigation, one on a bad contract, and we just need to resolve that. We don't have the clarity that we need with that one. Yeah.
What percentage of our budget is going to interest and or payment principal?
Thank you for asking that. Our debt payment right now is about 1.15 a year. So of our 7.2 million, $1,150,000 is just debt payments.
Excluding the FEMA debt.
Say that again.
Excluding the FEMA debt.
Correct. That's correct.
So that's it.
Yes.
Of the 1.4 million that potentially is still owed to FEMA, what's the probability of that being, or what percentage do you think is going to be forgiven? With FEMA being good, or?
Right. I'm really hopeful. I've had positive conversations. Here's, frankly, the challenge. I can't stand behind the documents that were submitted to FEMA. One, I wasn't in the administration at the same time. I can't make sense of the numbers that were projected to FEMA. What it is based on is our community's ability to rebound from the 2020 fires. They took the projected loss in revenue and projected it out over years. What it appears is that we projected our loss as if there was a fire every year. Our community is going to rebuild, and the assessed valuation comes up. And we'll have a little bit of a bump, but if you recall last year I was talking, we saw a reduction of 2.6% in our assessed valuation in 21. The next year, we saw over 4. So really, we were getting back to pre-fire levels. But the documentation that went to FEMA indicated we had a loss in 21, a loss in 22, and a loss in 23. So FEMA's going to take a look at it and say, where are you at today versus where you projected you were going to be.
Wouldn't that suggest that they wouldn't forgive the loan? If we didn't have the commensurate.
I share the same fear as you do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Another clarifying question, when you say that you approach government officials, are you talking about executive branch like FEMA itself, Department of Homeland Security, or our house, or the house, and to the U.S. Senate.
Yeah, so Ben's White's office, we're in contact with them. Rep. Marsh is part of the conversation, and we do have contact inside FEMA as well. We just want to better understand what the forgiveness process is. We can clearly demonstrate we're not financially stable. I'm not going to say we're insolvent, but there is threats to our service and our finances. That's what we'll need to do. Yes, sir.
So assuming FEMA doesn't forgive the debt, and the debt we already have, when do you project that you'll be able to keep this station fully open as it was pre-ground up?
Yeah, so
Like how many years, because in 2024 fall, they were saying, wait till next year, and for what, 16 months later?
yeah, so absent that, what we were thinking when we built our budget is we were going to be able to come in the 26-27 fiscal year, so July to June. We would be seeing much more. I'm not going to guarantee that this will be every day, but we continue to make investment in people, and people turn this corner for us. Okay? Our student program is coming up. We have free student firefighters that will be graduating. They're assigned to the crews. We have 5 volunteers that are graduating. Last year, we mentioned we're going to begin our recruitment. But once they come on board, we got to train them. We have to outfit them. We're getting 8 of those into the system right now. Some of you might have seen, we started a recruitment for our summer firefighters. Our risk is greatest in the summer during fire season, and we're going to hire seasonal firefighters specific for this area this summer, just like we did last summer. We can't afford to put them on 24 hours right now, but we're going to put them anytime we can when the risk is greatest. Yes, sir.
Where is it posted that this is a partially staffed station? Is this known countywide, statewide? Do insurance companies have access to the notion that this station is not fully staffed all the time?
So there is no specific location where stuff like that is posted. There's a lot of noise around insurance, and I'm sure I would say the majority of you have had a conversation with your insurance carrier this past year, right?
A lot of non-renewals.
Huh?
A lot of non-renewals.
Yeah, raise your hand if I have assisted you with a renewal process or a letter to your insurer. Thank you. Did that help?
Yes.
Thank you. If you do have a challenge, please reach out to me or my office. I'm willing to assist. To your point, the insurance agents, there is not a discrediting, they have reduced the reliance on ISO ratings, which really is a rating that talks about our staffing, the equipment that we have on the engines, and some response times. They are looking at the wildfire threat. I'm just a fire chief. I don't weigh in on what the threat is. They get to do it. Did that help?
Well, I asked that question with forethought and premeditation.
Okay.
I've had a 60% raise in premium, which for me is about $8,000 a year. You can't get to the people in your insurance company. I'm with USA, the best insurance company in the country. You can't talk to the people setting rates. You can only talk to the salespeople. I've been assured that they did not use the discredited wildfire map and went through their own process and got state approval for their rate setting. I have no way of knowing whether they knew that my district, my neighborhood, of which I'm president, is irrigated and might have some impact on rates. If the partial closure of this station has impact, I expected my rates to go up. Everybody knows the rates go up because they have huge losses. Whether part of the rate increase was due to the fact that they know that we do not have 24-hour fire service out of the station, we've been damaged. So this is no longer just a purely intellectual process. I appreciate, beyond words, the team and what you folks are facing and doing. But I'm a retiree and I'm now facing increased costs. And was anybody ever held accountable? And is this an issue that's actionable to recover damage that we may have sustained by virtue of stuff that happened before your tenure?
Right.
So that's kind of the flavor I'm looking at, and you can't get answers anywhere.
No. So what you speak of is what I hear frequently. I'm on the board for the Oregon Fire Chiefs Association, and we meet with the insurance controllers as well. This resonates across the state. The bottom line is the insurance industry is losing their shorts. When you look at all of the natural disasters, just everything, and they're trying to recoup their monies. So the fact that our staffing is reduced, that's not published or pushed to anyone. Even our urban environments are seeing significant 100-200% increases in their taxes. The Eagle Point Golf Course is one that I've been assisting a little bit. They're seeing spikes in their home insurance as well.
A follow-up, if you permit me. Would it make sense in the long run to find a way to increase revenue, to shorten the time to get this thing open full? I don't know how it's set,
Yeah.
but can we, instead of borrowing money from banks, could we have a short-term revenue increase, get the place open, stop paying interest? Is there that possibility?
There is, and I'm going to ask you to hold me to that because I do have some data on it that I want to wrap it back around. So that's a question we've fielded a couple times. There is another question that you have in there. Can we claw any of this back? You know what? My whole role is to look forward. I'm looking through the windshield at how to get our service back to where it was, even better than where it was, honestly. The board is active in looking at what happened, and they're going to exercise everything that makes sense. Okay? We have limited funds, and lawyers cost a whole lot. And at a certain point, they need to make tough decisions that sets us up for the future. Right? Yes, sir.
Well, just the golf course thing. You're working on a golf course, and I've been to places where there were numerous fires, and there are two things that don't burn: golf courses and vineyards. They stop the fires and go around them. So why is their insurance going up?
Insurance is trying to recoup their losses.
Well, it's criminal.
Yeah.
So are a lot of fires.
Yes, sir.
Just a follow-up on the station and the rating. ISO is the facility that is that by district or by station?
By district.
By district.
Yeah, so the insurance office, they establish a rating, 1 to 10. 10 is being unprotected. 8B is what you'll see Green Springs or the Colstein, some of these others. For Fire District 3, we're at 2. What that generally means is the closer to 1 you get, the better the insurance rating. Like I said, there has been a de-emphasis in a lot of these ISO ratings. We met with insurance agents about 5 years ago, actually prior to Alameda, and said, what are you starting to see? What are the trends? And it was all down to California. We were thinking a little bit rate increase. We were actually thinking that we were going to see them place requirements on renewals. That fire departments had to sign off and say that your property is fire safe or defendable against fire. You know, I'm not going to go to any property and say that all conditions are perfect and your house is defendable, because we saw in 2020 conditions were not right. But what it's shifted to since then, and we continue to meet, they continue to see decisions being made, you know, for State's Farm, probably on the 20th floor in Chicago, and they're looking at flat maps, and they see trees around your place, and that worries them.
When are we up for our next ISO review?
I don't have that answer. I don't know if that's
That's when the.
I'll come back to you. Go ahead.
Given the insurance situation, is there any push from the fire department to try to get the insurance companies to incentivize us? We're putting in a water defense system on our property. I call our agent, they said, well, they talk about it, but they've been talking about it for years and we don't see anything. So I'm wondering if the fire department wishes for that.
Yeah, it really, it's gotta be a more global push approach. The state fire marshal has a draft WUI code, Wildland Urban Interface Code, and it has home hardening standards and landscape recommendations. We're trying to leverage that into the insurance industry. Who goes out and signs off on it? We're not sure. But there is movement towards exactly what you said. Fire District 5 or Fire District 3 carrying this just isn't enough weight.
So when can we realistically, start to see more staffing? As you said, without the FEMA, it would have been 26, 27, so we're looking at 28. Like he said, we're paying $7 million collectively as a district to you guys, and we're paying debts, which was inherited by you. I understand that, and the board, it's not your issue or problem, but it's all of our problem.
Yeah.
And we're paying higher insurance.
Can I give you a best case and worst case?
Give me the worst case, because I'm unrealistic. I was hoping
Yeah.
the stations would be open now.
I think 27, 28. Okay. Honestly, when I said this 1.4 million, I still don't know where that's going to come from. We set 1.2 million aside to get from July 1 to November 1, so we don't have to borrow any more money. We may have to use that. That would mean we will have $0 going into next year. I'm really optimistic, okay? I don't think we're gonna get 1.4 million. I don't know if we're gonna get 0, but we're gonna continue to work. And I know that the workforce, I put something out not too long ago and said, I need all your ideas. How do we trim back even more? And they came up with some great ideas. And we continue to right-size our organization. Fleet, people, facilities, everybody is doing their best. And nothing but appreciation for the workforce. I mentioned 21. That's our target. We're at 19 right now. And again, that's something to celebrate. We're running 2 people short, and we're actually staffing the station more. It takes about 2 months to get someone through background checks. We don't arbitrarily invite anyone. We want the best. And we're gonna bring some quality people in who understand our current situation and carry our vision forward. Be part of the rebuild. And again, the 5 represents our students that are online. Mary.
Does Pulse Point accurately reflect the number of calls that are made from Fire District 5?
So it does accurately reflect that, and I'll explain it in just a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, yes,
So with the staffing that we have here, does that include EMTs?
it does, yeah. So we have both EMT, everybody at minimum is an EMT. We also have paramedics scattered throughout the district. There's no requirement that every station has a paramedic on duty every day, but there's always EMTs on duty. Yep. So the question was, does Pulse Point accurately reflect? So Fire District 5 as a whole, we had 3,110 calls that we responded to in 2025. The previous year, 3,028 calls. When we look at our structure fires, we responded to 23, wildland fires 41. The bulk of our incidents are EMS calls, and this is mutual aid. Mutual aid is when we send one of our units to assist someone else. We sent a unit 137 times to another agency or another community. We received assistance 85 times. Station 3 in Phoenix responded to 1,177 calls. Station 5 in Talent responded to 1,479 calls. And that's not just responded, that's what's plotted in here. And that's what this depicts. And I encourage you, take a look at these at the end. I'll be here to explain them. Everything blue is an EMS call. Everything red was a fire incident. And gray was a good intent. Either we canceled en route, no action taken. Yes, sir.
Is that data online anywhere?
Right now, it is not.
It is.
Oh, it is. Thank you, Shannon.
The charts on the left are on the website, on the homepage, if you scroll to the bottom.
Yeah.
Is the whole page for the station or for the fire?
Yeah, I added some new tabs on there, so
Okay.
the last 4 tabs are station 4 specific.
How about the maps?
The maps are not, but we could.
Okay.
Thank you.
So this is updated monthly. And yes, it is at the bottom of the website. This is Station 4 specifically. There was 412 calls in this fire management area. When we break out I-5, this service area had 247 incidents. 121 of those were good intent, meaning it was a smoke call, I saw something, breaking them out further, dispatched, canceled en route, 93, wrong location or no emergency was 13, controlled burning, 8, and then the fire up here that continued to kick smoke up, we went on 7 more calls for that. So no action taken. 78 EMS calls in the area, 21 service calls, meaning unauthorized burning, person in distress at the lake, or public service assistance. For fires in this fire management zone, we had 8 vegetation fires and 2 mobile property, meaning vehicle or something with wheels in the past year. So on average, the station saw almost a call every other day. Yes, sir.
If you look around this room, you'll realize that paramedic response is of greatest concern to us. Fires are very rare. Paramedic calls are daily. I'm an old EMS person, an ER doc, and time is life. So I would encourage the board, as you allocate resources to our neighborhood, the more paramedic availability that you can push here. EMTs are wonderful, but paramedics are the difference. And for our age group, paramedics are life.
Yeah.
And I would encourage you to think about that as you allocate resources.
Getting that AED there quick is going to be really important, right? Yes, sir.
You referenced some of the calls related to I-5. Can you kind of explain that a little bit more? If that's a federal obligation of somehow or another, or kind of?
Yeah, so just like my district, I-5 bisects our community. We have no obligation to respond on I-5. It's not within the district. Sure, it's hard to say we're not going to go though, isn't it? Right? There's a motor vehicle crash, we want to be there to assist them. What we need to do is establish sound practices to recoup the cost of that response. Right? When we have a motor vehicle carrier that can't get down the summit, we need to ensure that we have a mechanism to recoup the cost of that response.
Back to the paramedic situation, is there any investigation to how much the change in Ashland Fire paramedics being routed constantly to road, you see them on the highway all the time, so now there's less ability to serve? You know, they're supposed to be, if you only have an EMS here,
Yeah.
yes, the AED is key.
Yep.
Minutes count, and, but if you don't have the paramedic, then you know.
Yeah, well, that's absolutely true. I will tell you that the EMS system is failing. It's more than fragile right now. Ashland Fire holds the ambulance service area, meaning from Talent, really between Phoenix and Talent, all the way to the state line and up to the summit. They have ambulance responsibility. And so they're going to get pulled out. Their time on task is going to be greater if they're going to road more frequently. They have the EMS responsibility for this station area. They continue to make investments. We're in frequent conversation. The recent decision or announcement of Ashland Hospital I don't know what that's gonna mean for them, other than they're probably going to encourage going straight to Asante sooner. Yeah.
And I just wanna cover one thing, because it's a very good point, just so everybody kind of knows here. There's a lot of assumptions that paramedics just come from fire departments, Mercy, Flat, or Ashland, but there's also a movement that troopers now are carrying, there's paramedics. There's actually deputies that are troopers, because what your question is happening all over Oregon with rural response. So there's actually a first responder coalition that is actually working on some of that stuff. So the firefighter or paramedic might not be your closest medical support. It could be the trooper that's working up on the racetracks. Getting all that coordinated though, I would say the difficult, Chief. Would you say that's difficult? So,
Yeah.
and just so you know, there's many police officers who are paramedics. Are they getting dispatched? That's a different question. So I just wanted to add that.
Is there a way that citizens could be organized to influence that?
I think I would love to know if we made an AED publicly accessible, who would be willing to go through training and be part of that. Because I tell you what, there's AEDs all over the community, right? You could be at the mall. One of our greatest successes, Captain Bolstad, was instrumental in establishing a heart healthy program, a life-saving program at Phoenix High School. He retired at the end of December. 3 days later, he was playing a pickup game of basketball in the gym. Somebody went down, cardiac arrest. He was the individual who went and got the AED that he placed in the gym, gave defibrillation, and the individual was breathing by the time the ambulance got there. So it's not about waiting until somebody else gets there, just knowing where those are. And those are in Pulse Point as well.
Yes.
I'll go back to those quick. Go ahead.
It seems like staffing, everything, it comes down to dollars.
Correct.
Do you have a fundraising committee? Are you looking at how that could be impacted, how volunteers could help that?
Yeah, we do not have a fundraising committee. Ideas have been thrown out. I appreciate the current position of the board is let's try and do with what we have right now. Because absent the debt and some of these other curiosities, you guys are already paying enough. And I don't want to ask you for more right now. Yes. Yeah.
Do you have a number of what would be needed or?
Again, you guys hold me to that because I want to come back and explain something on Pulse Point. When we look at
Excuse me, Chief.
yeah.
Make sure everybody knows what Pulse Point is.
So Pulse Point is an app that you can download, and if cardiac arrest, there's two things with it. One, it'll alert you when there's an incident in an agency you're following. So if you want to follow Fire District 5, it'll alert you that there's an incident within it. It also will alert you if you're within a geo fence and there's a cardiac arrest in a public facility. If you're at the mall or even at a restaurant and there's a cardiac arrest, you will get this obnoxious alert, like an Amber Alert, and it will show you where the cardiac arrest is and where the closest AED is. Strongly encourage everybody to look at Pulse Point. Yeah.
I'm curious, everybody that we have in here, who has an app that they track the wildfires or Pulse Point?
Yeah, watch you. So, with cell phones, a lot of these gray that we see on here, we get a lot of calls on I-5 where they see smoke, that they witness something, somebody laying by the side of the road. And if they're passing through, people aren't familiar with our ag industry or our other industries that might generate steam, exhaust, smoke. Blight burns, our orchards are allowed by the Department of Agriculture to burn their blight as quickly as possible. Those generate a lot of calls. So when we look at our overall call volume, what is unique to our service area out here, if you, I don't have the chart, but if you were to take a look at this 3,110 calls for the entire district and put it in a pie chart, this EMS would take up all of this. But in station 4, 50% of the calls nearly are good intent. Just somebody saw something.
I was just wondering how much ODOT gives to fire districts as people come down by.
So the question was, how much does ODOT provide? They provide 0. Our revenue, outside of any grants or kindness awards, comes from all of our patrons, tax patrons. To talk a little bit about the cost. If we were to levy additional funds, 25 cents will generate $591,000 per year. Over a 4-year term, 4-year levy, it would be $2.9 million. That's about a $75 assessment per resident.
Additional to what is?
Additional to what you're currently, yep. 50 cents will generate 1.18. So, 1182 specifically, annually. $5,900,000 over the course of 4 years, and it would be $150 additional per patron. I'll jump ahead. If you were to pay $1 additional per 1,000, it would generate $2,300,000. It would cost approximately $300 more per average, and this is median house or assessment. Over the period, it would generate $11 million. It would turn the corner of our debt. That's a lot. It's a big ask, if I can come right back. We're talking about paying our debt down. We still haven't determined how are we going to buy a new fire engine when it's due for a replacement. The next 5 to 10 years, we're going to need to replace our rolling stock. Many of you recall the assailant that took out this station's engine a couple years ago. We haven't replaced it. It was built specifically for the rural environment. It was a little more rugged. It got up to Siskiyous, had higher ground clearance. We still have engines that are adequate for the service area. Sure would be nice to have something built more for this environment. And we haven't lost focus on it. I'll come back to you. Go ahead.
So those average increases yearly or over the 4 years?
That'd be each year.
And once you paid off the debt, would you reduce the tax back down?
So the levy. Well, no, that's a sad question. So, but I would say right now, you're paying $3.19 a thousand. $3.18 per thousand. If it went up 25 cents, if it were a levy, that levy would expire. So it wouldn't be whether or not I choose, it's you choose whether it goes away. Yes, sir.
Well, compared to what I'm paying in increased insurance premiums, this is chicken feed.
Right.
If we could somehow couple this behavior with insurance company behavior, it'd be a win-win. I don't know if that's possible.
I doubt it, and I would never be promoting or pitching that. The insurance industry is trying to get their dollars back that they're losing in California. I'll come right back to you.
I would suggest that if you do decide to go to the patrons for additional tax benefit, a nice incentive would be, and you mentioned it earlier, is the costliness of going after these alleged criminals and the gross negligence that led us to this spot. So if you're going to ask for 10 million, throw in a few $100,000 for the attorneys, will you? We'll get the votes.
Yes, sir.
Speaking for myself, I'm in favor of a short-term levy increase so we can stop paying this monstrous interest, so we can get our financial house in order, have a function. You're spending enormous amounts of time, volunteer time, paid time to try to rectify the wrongs. A small amount of contribution over 2, 3, or 4 years could get us back on stable footing. I think we'd all be I'm not in favor of spending more money, but I think this would be a great investment of a very small amount of dollars compared to the insurance increases we're also experiencing.
If there was to be a levy, could it be included in that proposal that we have paramedic coverage and that we're able to buy the truck that we need?
Yeah, so, yeah, there's a couple ways we could look at a levy, we could look at a bond, for different purposes. I wouldn't want to, I think, I wouldn't tie language to a levy. I think we, promote the purpose of the levy. Does that make sense? So if you guys were to support, if the entire community, so we're not just asking this community to contribute, what will it achieve? And if we determine if it's a quarter or if it's 50 cents, it's where the appetite might be, then we gotta be true in what we can do with that. And part of the conversation that I hear is, do we try and pay the debt down? Or do we do near-term investments? Or is it a combination of the two? Yes, sir.
Simply put, the people in this room have a high interest in the success of this restoration of the district. And if you were to go for a bond or an increased levy, we would have the responsibility to lobby our neighbors to vote yes.
Yeah.
It's us.
Right.
I'm thinking a civilian advisory group to your board to kind of work through these things and see if we can find ideas amongst us all that really hits the things that affect us most. And you'll have the technical advisors to tell us what's possible, how you can do it, and how many people have to vote for it. Is it the people who live serviced by the station, or is it the whole? There are a lot of technical things, but we, the residents, are very interested in a successful outcome. And I think an advisory group, so that you can hear from us directly instead of once every so many months, would be very, very helpful.
Yeah, you know, the question earlier was raised, how much are you paying annually right now? 1.1 million is what we pay for the debt, right? I tell you, if I didn't have that debt payment, it would look a lot different. We would have every station staffed 24/7.
So let's deal with that.
Yeah, come right back to those.
What's our interest rate on this current debt?
We have, I think there's 6 different notes right now, and they vary from 2.3 to 8. We're a credit risk, right? As soon as we can get some audits together, we're gonna go out and shop our notes. But I appreciate People's Bank really taking good faith and friendships and recognizing that they are a local solution. It's local funds at that bank. So, yeah.
Do you know what the WAC is on all those notes? What's the weighted average?
I know. Not today.
It's really good to know that number.
Yeah, we have it. I don't have it today.
And that's a hurdle rate, that's the rate that we're trying to figure out.
Yep.
Okay.
Bill.
There's a foundation affiliated with the district that would allow you to donate or leave in your trust or will benefit to the district. So if you consider leaving your multi-million-dollar grants to the Nature Conservancy, you might think about helping your neighbors in a more direct way.
I appreciate the support hearing for the levy. I would ask that you ensure, and as long as I have the privilege of serving as fire chief, we're gonna put it towards staffing service and paying this debt. We gotta get around this debt, right? Go ahead.
Is there any knowledge if there's still more surprises?
I hope we've achieved the low water mark, right? That's what we talked about with the team. I think we've achieved the low water mark. I'm not convinced that something might not emerge though. So we're filling the pool back up. Yes, sir.
Did you say you raised it to $1 per thousand? What was the annual revenue?
$300 on the losing values.
What was the gross for the district?
2.3 million per year, or 11 million, 11.8. It would, at $1 over 4 years, we would pay our debt down, we would be staffing all stations 24/7, and it would allow us to buy new apparatus in that period.
So if you were to present that levy for this community through the upcoming fiscal year and say for the next tax year, you'd also include it, so we pay in between basically, and the next tax year, would we be able to fully staff the station by 2026, 2027?
Correct. Likely going into calendar year 27.
And would you be able to present that as an idea to the community? Would you be able to get that together and actually say, hey, send a letter to everyone in this community, if you all pay $1 per 1,000, we'll be able to get out of this mess.
That's a board decision.
Yeah, so
can you
I don't wanna take up too much of, so levies are really kind of complicated, right? So I've worked with Sheriff Sigler on the jail levy, I don't know if anybody knows about the levies across Oregon, but, I hear you loud and clear. Remember I told you in the beginning, I work for you. I hear you loud and clear, it's my job to do what that gentleman said, so I'm gonna make that a priority for me, and we will see. But remember, it's a vote of everybody. So I will work my butt off to present it, and I owe you some answers. But just realize what you said, if we wanna do a levy, and we go forward, are they free? No. It costs money.
Yeah.
Just to ask for a levy, we're taking out of the budget. And if we lose the levy, we just lost our money. Or, so I think the advisory group, I think I will work on that. I'm gonna get your name, I know your attention. And I will, at the next board meeting, start the process of doing exploratory committee for a levy. I just want everyone to realize here, it's a gamble. If you lose at the levies, it costs a lot of money. I've already checked with Chris Walker in the election. It's expensive, right?
It is.
Is it just District 5 for us on the levy?
It would be all registered voters in Fire District 5. So the community is Phoenix, Talent.
Yes, oh, sorry, yes, ma'am?
Is that true for a bond as well?
Yeah.
Yes.
We have to pay the cost of the election.
Costs money, but I owe you those answers. I don't know how much, I've already talked to Chris Walker, I'm sure everyone knows her, and about what the process looks like. So I hear you loud and clear, I owe you those answers, and I will get them to you. So afterwards, I'll give you your phone numbers and I'll get those to you.
But I just want to make sure I understand the difference between the levy and the bond. My impression is the levy is money we pay and it goes into your budget. A bond has to be paid out.
Well, both of them do. A bond would be for a capital project. We earmark it for a station remodel or apparatus capital improvement. A levy goes towards operating expenses.
This would be, my understanding, would be a strip levy.
Correct.
And that would, we have discretionary in how to spend that based on the board. And so, thank you.
Bill?
Everyone in the district is subject to the same debt. You are the rural place. You are the minority number of voters. You are the minority number of calls to the station. And those people that live in Talent and live in Phoenix, they receive a higher level of service. Their stations are staffed. They have the numbers, and they do not have the motivation that you have.
Unless you change the staffing pattern so they go through periods of understanding. We all experience the same gravitational forces. This point is well taken. Until you shut their stations down, they won't be interested.
Yep, you're right on track.
Yeah, welcome back.
I would appreciate it if you would put, the stats, figures, and ensure all the data that you presented in something that could be online. I mean, I'm scribbling notes down here, but I, would like to see something in black and white that would cover everything that you presented.
Okay. Well, yeah, we'll put some dashboards together that help illustrate that. And do recommend, participate, repost all the board packets online, pull them up. You'll see our spending habits. You'll see the status of our budget. Things.
Yeah, what is the appropriate organization that would be responsible for financially on I-5? Would it be ODOT, or would it be state police, or someone else? And is Washington, California collecting on that?
So, no, it's a federal transportation route. And so we receive no revenue it actually bisects, or when you look at our map years, it's not even inside the district. Any cost recovery, ODOT recovers some cost for transportation if there's a spill or something. We need to develop that as well. Part of the challenge, if we bill, then we bill the individual and ask them to bill their insurance. And commercial carriers are easier to address. But if you have just a citizen, do we bill residents of Fire District 5 that are traveling on the freeway? No, right? If it's a family member or a customer of one of the businesses of Fire District 5, do we bill them? Do we bill them or ask for their insurance information and bill the insurance? And if they don't pay, do we send them to collections? So there's a number of things that we got to just think. There are companies that will handle it for us. We can recruit them. Matt?
Chief Esty, thank you. You mentioned about the utility that has called in question the assessed value. Is that part of the franchise fees for that utility?
Pacific Power is our single greatest taxpayer. Each utility pays tax on their utility right-of-way. When they look at the total assessed valuation of those right-of-ways, we just had a contestation 3 years ago that was resolved with Charter. These can take 4 or 5 years, but they did it last year. So we have over 100,000 sitting in a trust fund right now. We have it from last year, 100,000 for this year, which is wonderful. If the tax court side with the county assessor, we get that one lump sum. Contrarily, if they side with Pacific Power, that's held in that trust goes back to them. I sure would hate to get a bill saying we paid you and now you have to give it back to us.
So follow up on that. So their question that they have on the assessed value, that is countywide, it's not just Fire District 5, is that correct?
That's correct. So for Fire District 3, they held back $270,000. Fire District 3 had over $1 million being held in other accounts right now with just urban renewal or contestation. That makes it tough.
So if I follow up, just one more on the levy or the proposed things. I worked for the city of Phoenix in the past, and we, the department operated with the levy and funded personnel. And that is something, I appreciate the group that gets put together on this to talk about whether it's paying down debt or future assets. Putting people on the levy and operating that way is quite risky for improvement and retention and having those good long-term employees, because essentially possibly put people's jobs on the line at the end of that.
Yes.
So I appreciate you looking at different avenues there.
That's absolutely, last year, and the labor group has heard me say this many times, I'm not going to invite somebody to be part of our organization if I, in good conscience, can't guarantee their position beyond a year, 2, 3, 4 years. I want to make sure that if we choose to voluntarily assess ourselves more, that is specifically directed at something. If we didn't have $1.1 million in debt, that would go towards people. If we can resolve this and it goes away, we can claw back. We'll continue to invest in people and build a model of 24 responders can get us, I'd say 75%. If I can get to 27 responders, we're going to be sitting pretty good, as long as we're healthy, right? Because there are leaves that we have to honor. In closing, I want to give an opportunity to your board president, union president-elect, many of the members of Fire District 5 on speak. But I want to talk about something that we're exploring moving forward. Under our current IGA, the services that we provide, I have myself, the executive team. We have HR that is providing oversight for Fire District 5. Our finance department is doing all the finances. We have a civil service commission. They oversee, that's at Fire District 3, volunteer board committee that is overseeing hiring and promotional practices. And we have IT and data systems. What we don't have right now is the risk reduction services, if we will, investigators and inspectors. And we're seeing some development come in Phoenix and talent that's a little more complex. And frankly, we only get one shot to get ahead of our construction practices. We need to build our communities back safer and more sound, and be in the room when developers submit plans and ask for recommendations. And so the cities have asked for assistance. The board of Fire District 5 has asked Fire District 3 to build that into a proposal for future IGA. And you'll hear us talking about that. What it means is Fire District 3's fire marshal and 3 deputy fire marshals, the inspectors and investigators, would now be serving Fire District 5 in the communities, helping with investigations, pre-construction development.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and close it off, and then we'll stay for afterwards. So the chief said at the beginning, he used the reference, which I did love, like we got the baseball, the Christmas lights, and I don't know if you guys ever seen Christmas Vacation, you know, where they put, we got that. So, thank you for all your work. Somebody asked me what's my biggest concern about Fire District 5, and I think about a lot of things. I thought about levy, I thought about the firefighters' jobs, I thought about all these things. You know what my biggest concern is? If you look big picture wise, we're really reliant on Fire District 3, which is a really good thing. Okay? We're looking at doing extended IGA. Because I sit there and I think, what keeps me up at night? Man, what happens if Fire District 3 or their board, or if anybody knows any of their board members, can you say thank you to Harvey and to some of those board members, or anybody who's paying taxes in Fire District 3, who's really letting a lot of these people work for us? I always think, what happens if they get tired of this and say, we're going home? And I'm thinking, oh man, we couldn't be a self-sustaining fire department without their help. So when I say thank you to a lot of the people in here, man, I want to tie them into a long-term IGA. I want to lock that up to secure the firefighters' job and give you better service. We have been talking about the levy and your help on some of this stuff to make it happen. But I just think you all should know that man, Fire District 3 is our lifeline. I mean, I think we just started paying them. We just started paying them. So they did this for free for like a year, and the board, your board, is actually working really hard to do a long-term IGA.
What's an IGA?
It's an interoperable governmental agreement. It's basically a contract with a different district, so we don't have to hire a fire chief and a deputy fire chief and a staff and an IT person. Could you imagine our budget if we actually had to say, hey, we're gonna hire all these administrative positions that they've gobbled up for us with finance, payroll, whatever, HR.
Training. I didn't mention our entire training division is over providing training.
Most fire, well, here's the thing. I'm gonna be really blunt with you. Most people ask me, why are they doing it? And I said, well, what happens the day that we lose people in the fire service? They're doing it because they care a lot. It doesn't make sense that they do it. And actually, probably many of us would, if it was the opposite, you know what would really be easy for the constituents of Fire District 3 to say? Why are we paying to fix Fire District 5's problem? So I'm just gonna tell you, it's really good. And we're really blessed, and we have taxpayers in Fire District 3 who should, I mean, if someone says I'm from Fire District 3, I just wanna give them a hug. Okay, because I'm just thinking, thank you. Because they're paying for us to do the light bulbs on the Christmas lights. And it's really awesome. So I'm in a weird situation. I pay taxes for, I think, Fire District 3, I pay taxes for Medford Fire, Fire District 5, I have businesses and I pay for everybody. Like I love my fire. Okay? I have a vested interest in this too, okay? Because I'm sitting there thinking, man, who's a business owner in here? Anybody? Man, it's one of the hardest things I've ever done. And I spent my life in the military and police. Keeping, like I hear $100, I'm thinking, man, that's a lot of money. To keep my business going. I have 14 businesses in Fire District 5. Okay? $100, man, that's a lot for business. You know, so I wanna be real careful when we talk about this stuff, okay? And I just wanted everyone here to know, IGA is on our radar, the levy is on our radar now, I'm gonna work on that, I need some answers. The firefighters are on my radar, we have really good firefighters in this district. I mean, like, really good firefighters. Okay, so I just wanna say thank you to everybody, we'll be around. I have chores I gotta do, my wife's been texting me, so, I appreciate you all coming out. Thank you so much.